My name is Sarah, and I want to share my story with you. It all started when I met the love of my life, Michael. We were introduced by mutual friends at a cozy cafe on a chilly winter evening. From the moment our eyes met, I felt an instant connection, as if our souls had recognized each other. As we spent more time together, our love grew deeper and stronger. We shared dreams, laughter, and countless memories. It was undeniable that we were meant to be together. And so, after a whirlwind romance, we decided to embark on the beautiful journey of marriage. Our wedding day was a blissful celebration of love, filled with laughter, tears of joy, and promises for a lifetime. Surrounded by our families and closest friends, we exchanged heartfelt vows, pledging our love and devotion to one another. After the wedding, Michael and I moved into his family home, a charming house nestled in a quiet neighborhood. I was warmly welcomed by his parents, Mr. and Mrs. Anderson, and his sister, Olivia. They embraced me as one of their own, showering me with affection and making me feel right at home. Sarah, welcome to our family. We are thrilled to have you here, Mr. Anderson said with a warm smile, his eyes twinkling with genuine happiness. Thank you so much, Mr. Anderson. I'm truly grateful for your warm welcome, I replied, feeling overwhelmed with gratitude. Olivia, a vibrant and spirited young woman, approached me and hugged me tightly. Sarah, I'm so glad my brother found someone as amazing as you. We're going to have so much fun together. Her enthusiasm was infectious, and I couldn't help but smile. Thank you, Olivia. I'm excited to be a part of this family and create wonderful memories with all of you. In those early days, life felt like a fairy tale. We laughed, shared meals, and created beautiful memories together. I felt immensely grateful for the love and acceptance I had found within the walls of our new home. Little did I know that this idyllic beginning would be tested by unforeseen circumstances, unveiling the true colors of those around me. But that is a story for another chapter, a chapter that would change the course of my life forever. After our wedding, Michael and I moved into his family home, a spacious Victorian house that emanated a sense of warmth and history. It was a place filled with cherished memories and a place where new memories were waiting to be made. As I stepped through the front door, I was greeted by the comforting aroma of home-cooked meals and the sound of laughter echoing through the hallways. It was a bustling household, alive with the energy of a close-knit family. Mr. and Mrs. Anderson, Michael's parents, greeted us with open arms. Mrs. Anderson, a kind-hearted woman with a gentle smile, enveloped me in a warm embrace. Sarah, my dear, welcome to our home. We are so happy to have you here as part of our family. Thank you, Mrs. Anderson. I'm truly grateful for your warm welcome, I replied, feeling touched by her genuine kindness. Mr. Anderson, a wise and gentle man with a twinkle in his eyes, shook my hand warmly. Sarah, it's a pleasure to have you here. Michael has found a remarkable woman to share his life with. I blushed at his compliment and replied, Thank you, Mr. Anderson. I feel truly blessed to be a part of this family. Olivia, Michael's younger sister, burst into the room with a contagious energy. Sarah, welcome to the family. We've been waiting for you. Get ready for lots of adventures and late-night talks. Her enthusiasm brought a smile to my face. Thank you, Olivia. I'm excited to get to know you better and create wonderful memories together. In the days that followed, I quickly settled into my new role as a member of the Anderson family. We shared meals, shared stories, and shared laughter. I marveled at the warmth and love that filled every corner of the house. It was a home where I felt accepted and cherished. Sarah, would you like to join us for a family game night? Mrs. Anderson asked one evening, her eyes twinkling with excitement. Of course! I'd love to, I replied eagerly, excited to spend quality time with my new family. As we gathered around the table, laughter filled the air. The game night turned into a joyous competition, with playful banter and friendly teasing. It was during these moments that I felt a deep sense of belonging, as if I had found my place in this beautiful tapestry of love and togetherness. Little did I know that the harmony we shared would soon be disrupted, and the true colors of some family members would come to light. But that is a story for another chapter, a chapter that would test the strength of our bonds and shape the course of my life. The days passed by in a blissful haze, filled with love and laughter. Our home felt like a sanctuary, a place where joy thrived. But then tragedy struck, shattering our world and leaving us reeling in disbelief. It was an ordinary day, just like any other. Michael had left for work with a kiss and a promise to return home soon. Little did I know that those would be the last words he spoke to me. I received a phone call that afternoon, the news hitting me like a tidal wave. Michael had been involved in a fatal accident, and he was gone. My heart shattered into a million pieces, and I felt like my world had come crashing down. Tears streamed down my face as I stumbled through the front door of our home. The once vibrant and joyous place now seemed filled with sorrow and emptiness. Mrs. Anderson rushed to my side, her eyes brimming with tears. "Oh, Sarah, my dear, I'm so sorry. We're all here for you," she whispered, enveloping me in a tight embrace. The pain was unbearable, and grief consumed every fiber of my being. But amidst the darkness, the Anderson family rallied around me, offering support and solace in their own unique ways. Mr. Anderson, though visibly shaken by the loss of his son, remained a pillar of strength. He held my hand and said, his voice filled with compassion, "Sarah, we will get through this together. Lean on us, lean on me." His words brought a flicker of hope amidst the despair. I clung to his support, finding solace in his unwavering presence. Olivia, my sister-in-law, sat beside me, her eyes swollen from tears. She took my hand in hers and whispered, her voice filled with sadness, "Sarah, I can't begin to fathom your pain, but please know that I'm here for you. Lean on me whenever you need to." Her sincerity touched my heart, and I knew that even in the midst of our shared grief, we would find strength in each other. Days turned into weeks, and the Anderson family held each other tightly, weathering the storm of loss together. They never let me face the pain alone, providing a shoulder to cry on and a listening ear whenever I needed it. As I navigated the tumultuous journey of grief, I realized the depth of love within this family. It was a love that transcended blood ties, a love that encompassed compassion, understanding, and unwavering support. Together, we faced the tragedy that had befallen us, finding solace in the bonds that had been forged. But little did I know that the tragedy would become a turning point, unraveling the harmony we once shared and leading me down a path filled with heartache and adversity. That is a story for another chapter, a chapter that would test my resilience and reveal the true nature of those around me. In the aftermath of Michael's tragic passing, our once harmonious home began to unravel. The weight of grief seemed to have changed the dynamics within the walls that once held so much love and warmth. I found myself caught in a web of turmoil as my mother-in-law and sister-in-law began treating me with contempt and disdain. The first signs of their animosity were subtle, a dismissive remark here, a cold glance there. But as time went on, their hostility became more pronounced. They no longer saw me as a grieving widow in need of support, but as an inconvenience, a reminder of their own loss. I remember one evening, as I was setting the table for dinner, Mrs. Anderson walked into the room with a sneer on her face. "Sarah, you missed a spot. Can't you do anything right?" she snarled, her words dripping with venom. Tears welled up in my eyes, but I swallowed my pride and replied, my voice quivering, "I'm sorry, Mrs. Anderson. I'll fix it right away." Olivia, who had once been my confidant and friend, joined in the humiliation. "You're such a burden, Sarah. You can't even handle the simplest of tasks. I don't know why Dad keeps defending you." Her words pierced my heart like a dagger. I had believed that our shared loss would bring us closer, but instead it seemed to have driven a wedge between us. Days turned into weeks, and their mistreatment only worsened. They would assign me menial chores and berate me if I couldn't fulfill their demands to their satisfaction. I became their servant, an object of their scorn and ridicule. But amidst the darkness, there was one glimmer of light, the unwavering kindness of Mr. Anderson. Despite his own declining health, he witnessed the cruelty I endured and offered me solace whenever he could. One afternoon, I found myself exhausted, tears streaming down my face as I scrubbed the floors. Mr. Anderson, weakened by his illness, shuffled into the room. His eyes, filled with pain and empathy, met mine. "Sarah, my dear, please rest." "Let me help you," he said, his voice filled with concern. I looked up, surprise and gratitude etched on my face. "Mr. Anderson, you should be resting. Please don't worry about me." He sighed, a mixture of sadness and determination in his eyes. "Sarah, I can't stand by and watch them treat you this way. You deserve so much better. Let me do what I can to ease your burden." His words touched the depths of my soul. Here was a man, weakened by illness, but still willing to stand up for me against his own family. In that moment, I realized the strength of his character and the bond that had formed between us. Little did I know that Mr. Anderson's act of kindness would set into motion a chain of events that would alter the course of our lives. The battle lines were drawn, and the stage was set for a confrontation that would challenge the very fabric of our family. But that is a story for another chapter. A chapter that would test our resolve and reveal the true nature of those who had mistreated me. As the days grew darker, a new burden descended upon our already troubled household. The once harmonious home became entangled in a web of debts, and I found myself at the center of their tangled schemes. It started with innocent requests for money, small amounts borrowed with promises of timely repayment. But soon, those requests escalated, and it became clear that Mrs. Anderson and Olivia had fallen into a cycle of financial irresponsibility. One evening, Mrs. Anderson approached me with a sheepish expression on her face. "Sarah, we've run into some financial troubles. We need your help to pay off our debts. After all, you're part of this family now." I was taken aback by her audacity, but I mustered the courage to respond firmly. "Mrs. Anderson, I'm sorry for your difficulties, but I am not responsible for your debts. I have my own financial obligations to fulfill." Olivia, always quick to join in her mother's manipulative tactics, chimed in. "Sarah, don't be so heartless. We're family and family helps each other out. You wouldn't want us to suffer, would you?" Their words were laced with guilt, an attempt to manipulate me into shouldering their burdens. But deep down, I knew that their financial woes were a result of their own reckless actions. Days turned into weeks, and the pressure mounted. They resorted to emotional manipulation, hurling insults and belittling me at every opportunity. They made me feel like an outsider in my own home, a burden to be exploited. One day, as I sat at the kitchen table, tears streaming down my face, Mr. Anderson shuffled into the room. His frail frame sagged with exhaustion, but his eyes burned with determination. "Enough is enough," he said, his voice trembling but resolute. "Sarah, I see the pain you endure, and I won't let it continue. We cannot keep living like this, drowning in debts that aren't yours to bear." I looked up at him, a mix of hope and fear swirling within me. "Mr. Anderson, what can we do? How can we break free from this cycle?" A spark of determination glimmered in his eyes as he replied, "We'll find a way, Sarah. I have some savings put aside. We can use that to secure a fresh start, away from the clutches of their debts." His words filled me with a renewed sense of hope. Perhaps there was a way out of this suffocating situation, a way to reclaim our lives and rebuild what had been torn apart. And so, with a heavy heart, Mr. Anderson made the decision to sell our family home. The once beloved house, filled with cherished memories, would now become a means of escape from the toxic environment that had consumed us. The news of the impending sale sent shockwaves through the household. Mrs. Anderson and Olivia, who had relied on the comforts of the home without a care for its future, suddenly found themselves faced with the consequences of their actions. Begging for forgiveness, Mrs. Anderson pleaded with Mr. Anderson. "Please don't do this. We can change. We'll repay the debts. We promise." But Mr. Anderson stood his ground, his voice firm yet tinged with sadness. "It's too late for promises, too late for regrets. Sarah has suffered enough, and it's time for us to face the consequences of our actions. The house will be sold." And so, the decision was made. The house that had once been a sanctuary turned into a symbol of liberation. With the proceeds from the sale, Mr. Anderson and I rented a modest apartment, starting anew with the money he had diligently saved over the years. In the modest apartment that became our new sanctuary, a ray of hope illuminated our lives. We embraced the opportunity for a fresh start, leaving behind the toxic environment, that had plagued us for so long. It was a chance to rebuild, to reclaim our happiness, and forge a path towards a brighter future. As we settled into our new surroundings, Mr. Anderson's health deteriorated further. His illness had taken a toll on his body, but his spirit remained unwavering. I took on the role of caregiver, tending to his needs with love and compassion. One day, as I sat by his bedside, he mustered a weak smile and said, "Sarah, my dear, you've been my ray of hope in the darkest of times. You've shown me the true meaning of resilience and love." Thank you. Tears welled up in my eyes, and I held his frail hand tightly. Mr. Anderson, you've been my rock, my source of strength. I'm honored to have been by your side. Together, we navigated the challenges that life threw our way. The burden of debts was gone, but we faced new struggles. Financial constraints, the weight of grief, and the absence of the family we had once called our own. But amidst the hardships, a network of support emerged from unexpected places. Friends from the community extended a helping hand, offering assistance and comfort. Their acts of kindness reaffirmed our faith in humanity and provided us with the support we desperately needed. One afternoon, as I walked through the local park, lost in my thoughts, I bumped into a familiar face. Emily, a kind-hearted woman, I had met at a community gathering. She smiled warmly and approached me. "Sarah, it's so good to see you. How have you been?" she asked, genuine concern etched on her face. I shared with her the challenges we were facing, and she listened attentively, her compassion evident. "I understand it must be tough, but remember that you're not alone. There are people who care about you and want to help." Her words resonated deeply within me. It was a reminder that even in the midst of adversity, there were rays of hope that could guide us forward. With Emily's support, we discovered resources that could aid us in our financial struggles. She connected us with local organizations that provided assistance and guidance, helping us navigate through the intricacies of rebuilding our lives. As we slowly regained our footing, a newfound sense of strength emerged within me. I realized that despite the trials we had endured, we had not been defeated. We were survivors, and together, we would rise above the challenges that life had thrown our way. In the midst of our journey, Mr. Anderson's health took a turn for the worse. The weight of his illness became too heavy to bear, and he passed away peacefully, surrounded by love and gratitude. In his final moments, he looked at me with a serene smile. "Sarah, my dear, thank you for being my light in the darkest of times. Promise me that you'll continue to shine brightly and embrace the happiness that awaits you." Tears streamed down my face as I clasped his hand, my voice choked with emotion. "I promise, Mr. Anderson, I will honor your legacy and live a life filled with love and joy." And so, with a heavy heart and the memory of Mr. Anderson's unwavering support, I embarked on a new chapter, carrying his spirit with me as a beacon of hope. I knew that the road ahead would not be easy, but I was determined to face it with resilience, gratitude, and an unwavering belief in the power of love. As I ventured into the final chapter of our story, a newfound strength fueled my determination to seek justice and reclaim the life that had been unjustly taken from us. The time had come to confront the individuals who had treated me with disdain and to ensure that their actions would not go unpunished. Armed with the evidence of their mistreatment and the unwavering support of friends and community members, I sought legal counsel. The path to justice would not be easy, but I was determined to bring their actions to light and hold them accountable for the pain they had inflicted. In the courtroom, surrounded by the weight of truth and the support of my legal team, I listened intently as the evidence unfolded, revealing the depths of their mistreatment and manipulation. The courtroom was filled with gasps of disbelief as witnesses testified to the emotional abuse I had endured at the hands of my mother-in-law and sister-in-law. One by one, the truth unraveled, painting a vivid picture of the torment and humiliation I had faced within the confines of my own home. Their deceit, greed, and disregard for human decency were laid bare for all to see. As the trial reached its climax, Mrs. Anderson and Olivia, who had once reveled in their power over me, now sat in the defendant's seat, faces etched with a mix of anger and desperation. In a moment of vulnerability, Mrs. Anderson's voice quivered as she addressed the court. I I didn't mean for things to turn out this way. We were grieving and I acted out of anger. Please, forgive me." Olivia too pleaded for mercy. I was misguided, influenced by my mother's actions. I didn't realize the extent of the harm we caused. I'm truly sorry. But their pleas fell on deaf ears. Justice would not be swayed by their remorseful words alone. The judge, impassive yet fair, delivered a verdict that would serve as a reminder that no one is above the law. "Mrs. Anderson, Olivia Anderson, you are found guilty of emotional abuse and manipulation," the judge declared sternly. "Your actions have caused significant harm to the plaintiff, and it is my duty to ensure that justice is served. You shall face the consequences of your deeds." As the gavel struck, the weight of the verdict reverberated through the courtroom. It was a moment of triumph, not only for me, but for all those who had suffered at the hands of cruelty and injustice. Outside the courtroom, amidst the flurry of reporters and supporters, I felt a sense of closure. The truth had been exposed, and the legal system had upheld the principles of fairness and accountability. It was a victory not just for me, but for all who had stood by my side during the darkest of times. In the aftermath, I received an outpouring of support from friends, family, and even strangers who had been touched by our story. Their kind words and gestures reaffirmed my faith in the goodness of humanity and provided solace for the wounds that had yet to fully heal. With the legal battle behind me, I focused on rebuilding my life, guided by the principles of compassion and resilience that had carried me through the storm. I found solace in pursuing my passions, building new relationships, and cherishing the memories of Mr. Anderson, whose love and kindness would forever be etched in my heart. The triumph of justice brought a sense of closure and the opportunity for a fresh start. It was a chapter that marked not only the end of a painful journey, but also the beginning of a new, empowered chapter in my life. As I walked away from the courthouse, my head held high, I knew that I had emerged stronger than ever before. The shadows of the past no longer defined me. I was a survivor, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, and a living testament to the power of justice.